The Wednesday Week is sponsored by Michael Constantine Wealth Management. We bet you can't find a financial advisor closer to Hillsborough Stadium.
Hello, good evening and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week. My name's Dan Fudge. Fresh face from work, hence I've got stress zits. I've got a little moustache there, didn't even shave for the pod. Tonight with me I've got Stevie, Jon and Blair, and we're going to be talking about all things nil-nil and what should be a championship or even, some would argue, a Premier League fixture. Stevie, it weren't exactly a classic, were it?
You motherfucker. Why have you come to me first?
You can have it, mate. You can have it.
No, it weren't great, were it? I can't recall a great deal that happened, to be honest with you. I've not gone back and sort of in my mind sort of replayed everything that occurred. It was just one of those games that I think both teams and everybody involved would agree that it was just one of those things where whoever blinked first was going to be the team, but nobody seemed to, and we could have still been there now. And I think it had just been one of those games where it petered out, it flattered to deceive for the reputation that the two teams that were involved have got and where we are in the league. I think the bigger picture is that we've gone to a ground and played against a team away that historically we've not done very well against. And we talked about this last week. You know, it's been an absolute age since we've last beaten them. And, you know, our record against Derby away is absolutely horrific. I said last week I'd have taken a point. And, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it was an underwhelming performance. It was an underwhelming game to watch. But, yeah, I'll take a point. No problem.
I mean, there was an element, Jon, of case of the X with a game such as this, with people like Mendes Lang and Wildsmith and people playing. I mean, like Stevie says, would you have taken yourself a draw before the game? I mean, obviously, probably a bit more of an entertaining one. Don't get me wrong, but is that something you'd have took snap your hand off?
I think given his record there, I think you would have to say yeah. And they look like a side that are slowly improving with a manager that knows the league very well and has had success, most recently with Rotherham, and knows Wednesday from his time during being Rotherham's manager. I just thought Wednesday were going to go into that game with a mindset not trying to lose the game rather than trying to win the game. I thought they played within themselves a little bit, and it was a bit of a drab affair, wasn't it? With the best real chance being Deli Bashir, who did all the hard work. I mean, he was fending those players off like Neo-fending agents off in the Matrix, where they were flying all over him. Spins around, and all they got to do is poke it past Joe Wildsmith of all keepers, and sadly wasn't able to do it. And there wasn't much else to write home about, was there, in that game? It was a bit of a non-entity, weren't it? So, I mean, I do think in the end it was a case of, you know, some managers say if you can't win the game, make sure you don't lose it. And I think we had very much that kind of mentality in that game, given us past history there. So, yeah, I think we could have been more adventurous, and I think we could have probably won the game if we'd have just, you know, maybe been a bit more adventurous. But I'll take a point given our history there, yeah.
Now, Blair, come on, let's have a kick-off about it. I mean, you know, you must be raging about it, right?
No, I said in the group chat tonight, but we didn't win the league even if we won that game on Saturday. It was one of them. This is where it bleeds into: are you a customer or are you a football fan? Because football managers, obviously, two football managers have said, "Do not lose that game today." So they've gone out there. Both teams have offered very little not to lose that game. Not really tried to win it. If they could have won it, brilliant. But they didn't want to lose that game. And then the counter argument to that is, I've paid money to watch a game of football, and two teams aren't trying to win a football match. So you're sort of like, but if you say the word customer, people are going to be like, I'm not a fucking customer, I'm a football fan. Do you know what I mean? So it's like entertainment or football. It's like using your head, losing your heart. It's one of them. Obviously, I wanted to win it because I want to see the image of us being top. I think in September. Was the last time we lost was September against Plymouth?
Has it been that long since we've lost?
Or did we lose Or did we lose a crap game, 1-0 something?
No, it was Plymouth, weren't it?
Yeah,
we lost at Peterborough in August, and then we lost at home to Barnsley, and then we lost at Plymouth.
So I think they were 8 points above us when they beat us that night.
8 games. 8 games. It's been.
Yeah, it's now down to 2 points. I thought the thing that worried me the most this weekend was when I looked at the bench. To say we have the, you know what I mean, argue the best squad in the league. I looked at the bench on the Saturday. I thought, Christ, who are you bringing on? Because he brought Patterson and Wilkes on, and as soon as he brought Patterson, I thought, well, that's it. He's accepting the point here. He really ain't trying to win the game. Do you know what I mean? What do you think, Steve, about Wilkes?
4th of October.
Get ready.
4th of October, we last lost.
4th of October, last lost. But what about Wilkes?
Fuck Wilkes.
Is he not the Messiah that we thought he was?
Do you know what? I don't get it, and I said before. I'm one of those people that is a little bit more at times can be a little bit more pragmatic, and we were falling over ourselves to get this guy over the line. And I said at the time, I don't get it. I don't know enough about him. And everyone was saying he's going to be the signing. He's a right player. He's this, that, and the other. I don't know how much football people watch, and I don't know how many times people have seen Hull play or can remember him from playing for Hull. Donny when he played in League One, zero recollection whatsoever of him playing anywhere else.
Well, this is the thing. No one has seen him play football.
But everybody was here going, he's the man. He's the guy to get over the line. We've got to do this. We've got to get him. We've got to. But who are we going to play? We've come off a season last year where, let's be right, Gregory was being heralded as the best striker we've had since Christ.
I think he might be off in January.
And I'll tell you, where we revered Lee Gregory last year more than anybody since Gary Hooper, as far as I'm concerned. I can't remember it. Knew who divided people, didn't he? He was a bit of a cult, but I don't think we've had anybody that we'd say was that good. And I know it's a different level. I'm not saying that Lee Gregory's as good as Gary Hooper. I'm not. But from somebody who leads the line and is a bit of a talisman, he was outstanding last year for us. And then we've taken Michael Smith, big shithouse in centre forward. We'll have that.
He can move, though.
Pardon?
He can move, can't he?
Yeah, but where was Wilkes ever going to fit in?
I don't know. He's the only one we paid a fee for as well.
We actually paid money for him.
Which is weird, isn't it? You know what I mean? We had all them signings, and the only one we actually paid money on, shittest one.
Yeah, didn't we offer like 300k for him, and then there was a bit of like knockback from their chairman or director of football, whatever it was, and it kind of went quiet again, and then eventually we got him, didn't we? So I don't know what we upped it by or whatever, but
the thing about it is every one of us here wants players to do. We want our lads to do well. We want the players to do well. Nobody's going to sit here and go, I don't want him to be successful. But you bring him on. We've been doing it now for the better part of 2 months, and there's no progression there. I'd say it. I'm not a fan of Myton's, but at least you can see flashes in Alex Myton where you go, oh, you can see a bit here, or you can understand that he's 19 and with a bit of game time behind him, we might be all right. You can understand the process with him. They've found him out to get some game time, but with Malik Wilkes, I just don't see it. I don't get it. And the only success he seems to be having at the minute is in the Pizza Cup, and we're out of that.
See, I hate making excuses for footballers, but there will be someone will say he didn't have a proper pre-season. He had an unsettled pre-season. What? He forgot to play football then, did he? In 4 weeks. Is that what you say?
Fair enough. All right, so Patterson came on, and we kind of signalled our intent on how we were gonna see that game out and all the rest of it. Now, Patterson's been linked with going back to one of his old clubs in Hearts. I mean, how many of you would drive him there now? Does he fit into our system?
I mean,
piggyback.
Bye. Yeah, see you later, lad.
Is that you done? Is it, lads? Is that you're like? As daft as it sounds, right? The guy did score goals in the Championship when we were rubbish. Who can forget the rip snorter against Bournemouth?
Well, he scored goals to get Cardiff promoted to the Premier League, and he actually started like most of the games in the Prem for Warnock. So when we did sign him way back when, I honestly thought, how have we managed to pull this one off?
Well, as
It's
daft as it
like-
sounds, right? You get a lot of these things, and bear in mind, Callum Patterson is a Neil Warnock style player, right?
Oh,
In terms
100%.
of how they set up and in terms of how they play, Callum Patterson fits that mold, and I think that there's an element of Darren Moore likes to play a certain type of football, albeit it took him 5-6 months to work out what it was with us, but he's got it. When it came to January, February, and now the start of this season, we kind of picked up where we've left off on the grand scheme of things. And in terms of 2022 as a calendar year, we've had some monster results.
Oh
But
yeah, it's not a fluke now.
They've
Like,
all been League One, and Callum
it's the full
Patterson
year,
hasn't really fit into that system that he's done. I mean, come on, John. You know, he's got a job for us, hasn't he? Did you hear me, John?
He's a valuable squad player, but it's weird that you don't. So have I gone?
Yeah, you sound like a robot,
again.
John. You sound like you were just
You've
doing
gone back
a
to dial-up
Peter
modem.
celebration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Meet
no, I
more.
don't know what it is. Yeah, with Patterson, can you hear me all right now?
Yeah, go for it, pal. Straight in.
Skip along, and I'll come.
We'll come back round
Yeah, I
again.
just think it's go back around again. Patterson's just a squad player, isn't he? But the problem is now that when he's coming off the bench as a striker, you expect him to have an impact, like scoring a goal or making a goal, and it's just not really happening, is it now? So let's not forget, and I know it's been a while, and I think it was when he was at Hearts previously, there was a right back. He was a converted defender to a striker. It seems like he's had success at that, but now it seems to, for Wednesday anyway, and it seems like he's a striker by name, but not really a striker by nature anymore.
He's just a hustler, isn't he? He will harry, he will push, he will break down on people and stuff like that. But then again, now we've got Smith, we've got Gregory, who both do that. You know, that's one of their talents to pressure. And then, as daft as it sounds, we just bought Atinuhu 2.0, and I'd even argue that it's a shitter version, like it's a Poundland version of Atinuhu. You know what I mean? I'd argue that with anybody, but look, it looks like he's probably done his money with Sheffield Wednesday if he's starting to look around and stuff like that. And I don't begrudge him anyway. I'm not, it's not like I'm going to boo him if he comes back to the club, unless he signs for Derby County. Then I probably might. You know what I mean?
He's out of contract this year, isn't he? Am
Yes.
I right in thinking that he's out of contract? So
yeah.
fair play to him. Look, he's not started a game. I saw a stat yesterday or the day before. He's not started a game since August. In the league, he's not playing, and I understand why he's not playing. He doesn't seem to have any sort of fixed abode within that starting 11, does he? So you've got to take a minute and sort of put it to one side. If he had another 18 months, 2 years on his contract, and we don't go up this year, I've said this before, I think if we don't go up this year, we are in trouble, because Bannon may very well stay, because I think that's in. But we're going to lose the likes of, Deli Bashir, who's going to move on, Windass will move on. Those talismanic players that we've got at the minute are going to go. So then you're starting to look down the pecking order a little bit. And if he was still here, you'd say Pato next year is somebody you're going to put in there, because we've got to rebuild the squad. And that's what we did in the Championship. We signed him with a view to having him consolidating us in the Championship. It's not working out because he's not producing the goods, but I don't put any blame on him. I like him as a character. I like him around the team. I think he does. He runs his nuts off when he's there. We've talked about Wilkes already tonight. You compare Wilkes and Pato. I'm going to pick Patterson every day of the week, because at least he's putting a shift in and he looks like he's interested.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So for me, if he goes, he goes. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. But if he stays, as I said, it'll be what it'll be.
Can't sleep. That's asleep.
Are you all right, mate? Are you pissed up or what, son?
Here's one for you. Deli Bashiru, when he starts games, doesn't seem as effective as when he comes off the bench.
Do you know what I call
What are
this?
your thoughts?
I call this the Jack Grealish effect, right? I think that the way England uses Jack Grealish is wonderful. I feel like for tournament football, where it's a shitty 0-0, everybody's playing for penalties to try and grind one out like they have done since the African 2010 Cup, where they've realised that they can actually win tournaments without actually having to win football games. I think the way we use Jack Grealish is amazing, and we kind of have that in Dele Bashiru, where we can keep it tight, keep it in the middle of the park, and make those challenges. And for the last half an hour, last 20 minutes, to bring on FDB and absolutely batter through players when he's full of beans and full of energy, I think that's going to be his. I think that is his best Arsenal in the armoury. Of what he can do for Sheffield Wednesday in the formation and the football we play. Somebody else could take him and play him every week and get the best out of him, but in the way that we set up, is he going to be more than a fringe player? What do you reckon, Steve?
Well, we've talked about it before, haven't we? And I'm a fan. I like the guy. I think he's the player that offers something a little bit different.
It's fantastic.
Does he get into our first choice 11? Probably not. And I don't want to sound like I'm backtracking. I don't think he does, but I do think he's something a little bit different from a Backinson, who's a little bit, well, he's not dissimilar from a Volks, who's one down from a Byers, who, we've got that plethora of midfield that do bits. But if you want somebody who's going to pick the ball up and then go and charge with the ball and, battering ram other players off for 20, 30 yards. And what he does better than anybody else is he holds the ball up, and he's very difficult to shake off the ball. But his style of play is different to anything that we've got in the middle of the park. For that reason, I think he's number 12. If we had an 11 and he's not in it, he's definitely number 12 for me. But is he going to be satisfied with that? Probably not.
Well, let's say you're in charge of the contracts. Then what would you give him one based on appearances? Because I think we discussed this before, didn't we?
For me, I think we tie him down, and I think I think there's there's a lot of fickle fans out there, and there's a lot of vitriol that gets spouted, and it melts my head. We talk about this a lot. I get grief for being a bit of a happy clapper, and I understand that. I'll get behind the team all day long. For me, if we can tie him down, I think he's an asset. I've said it before this season. I think he's a saleable asset going forwards. If him and Patterson were on the same contract, we'd get more money for Dele Bashiru, not just based on age, but because what he can offer. Even if we can't get him in and get him playing 20, 30 games, if we can secure him as a saleable asset going forwards, then it's a no-brainer.
So let's kill him. Let's keep him to sell him.
Listen, mate, we've talked about it before. If we can keep him and he makes a valuable contribution to getting us out of the league, and either we sell him on at the end of this season or we sell him on at the end of next season when we're 10th in the championship, and we move him on for 3-4 million, have a decent resale clause in his contract, then yeah, let's do it. Absolutely, let's do it.
Fair enough. All right. Well, look, I'll tell you what. So I need to tell you about.
I'm a little bit.
Come on, John.
You froze again. Have you froze again?
I think we've got a bit of a delay with you, John. But yeah, go for it anyway, pal.
I was just saying. For me, if I'm Darren Moore, I'm wanting to get Dele Bashiru and then just like he should be taking over games for me. I see moments in games where Dele Bashiru could take over that game. You can see he's got all the attributes. If he's used right and get his confidence up and he plays enough games, and you give him a certain role in the team, I think he's got similar qualities. And he could be like a Yaya Toure type player for Sheffield Wednesday in League One. He's got pace, he's got power, he can shoot, he's strong. I think he's got some wonderful attributes, but I'm not always certain that we've unlocked them yet. And I don't know if that's just because of how we play, or is it on confidence, or he needs a bit of a boost. But I would certainly sign to a contract. I think he's got a lot more to offer. I just think we just need to coax it out of him, whether it's through coaching or getting his belief up or whatever it is. But I see a real player in there.
I don't think he needs coaching. I don't think
confidence is his issue, John. I think
I think what he needs is he needs an understanding of, right, this is where I am, this is what I'm doing. And I would argue, having said everything, I'd wonder whether or not the contract situation is playing on his mind, because he's probably getting in his ear, he's probably got people going, right, if you're not playing next to Bannon, or you're not playing in this position, or you're not doing this, then it's time to move on. And I know that people are, and obviously
I've got Derby sniffing.
I've got this person sniffing even higher than Derby. You could talk about a mid-table championship team at worst for me. I can get you a deal. It's almost
more money.
Yeah, it's a Uragidi effect, isn't it? Come and have a look here and let's see what you can get. If that's disturbing him and it's turning his head, then you can understand if there's a little bit of form here and there. But I'll go back to the point that I'd seen a few bits last week where he's turned and he's got that one shot. The one chance that we had, the one clear-cut chance that we had against Derby was that 8-yarder where he just toe poked it and it's gone straight at the goalkeeper. And then all of a sudden, Twitter blows up and goes, "Oh, he's fucking shit, and he's not done this, and he's, he blah, blah, blah. What a waste of money."
Twitter is amazing, and it's boring now. Twitter meltdowns are getting boring now. I can remember against Mansfield, someone joked about, because we weren't winning, they went, "Oh, we've got the best squad in the league," like sarcastically. People think we've got the best squad in the league. And then he made 3 substitutions, and we won the game. It's like, yeah, well, the fucking best squad in the league just won the match, you stupid twat.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually do have that. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of managers in League One that are sat there thinking, "I wish I had the squad depth that they've got." Okay, so moving on. Well, that was a shite game, and we managed to get 20 minutes out of that. I'm proud of you, lads. Well done. Pat on the back. When I upload this every week, I must admit I'm not really good at keeping up with it. But when I upload this to YouTube every week, I see some of the comments. And Simon's not on tonight, but there was one where Simon did really poorly, and somebody said something like, "Old fella ain't got a clue," which really made me laugh. and then now we have a comment on every week. I mean, and the quizzes I've found are the most engaging thing that this show's produced in probably about the last 6 years. So we can't leave our audience waiting too long, because now we're just getting comments that literally say, "Where's the quiz? What happened to the quiz?" I mean, we did a really good episode with Chris McClure, with yourself and Vic, Steve, and somebody looked at that there, "Only come for the quizzes," which I thought, okay, well, right, let's just get it out of the way.
Let's get Vic on. Let's get in touch with Vic and get him back on, and we'll do a quiz with him. He'll be up for it. I'm telling you.
We'll do a Sheffield Wednesday quiz with Chris McClure. Let's do it. All right. So Blair, you're in the chair this week.
Yeah, it's an England theme quiz.
Oh.
Which can be segues into the topic of Wendy or
England. You said it was going to be a good quiz.
Yeah, it will be. So last time we played France was in a competitive game was 10 years ago.
I can do this. I know what's coming. Go.
No, you don't. Roy Hodgson was the manager of England. He gave debuts to 36 players.
Oh.
Roy Hodgson did.
Name him.
That was a hell of a bloody segue. What's that going to do with bloody France? Just to get Roy Hodgson into the bloody question. Well played.
I mean, I was going to have the starting lineup. That's too easy. I knew Stevie.
I could tell you that Jolie and Lescott scored.
Yeah. In the 30th minute.
Welbeck played up front.
It was shocking, weren't it? Really, when you look back at the team.
I know exactly where I was for that game as well. I drove over to France to watch the game.
I can't even remember that game happened.
Oh, I went on with a girl to a Formula One hotel. Kept saying Chris Waddle at her. Any road. 36 players. Are you making notes of this, Blair? Have you?
I've got them on a nice spreadsheet.
So, what were? Give me a starting date. Give me a starting date.
Roy the boy. When did he take over? Roy the boy.
Around that time, wasn't it? He was in charge for 2012 and 2014. He left after 2014, the silly owl-faced sod, after the Uruguay nonsense. 2012, we got knocked out by the Italians.
Iceland did it, wasn't it?
That was 2016. He was still there at 2016, wasn't he?
Yeah, he took over on the 14th of May 2012 and left on the 27th of June 2016. After the formation shite game.
I honestly... This is going to be as short as John's quiz of the week. We're not going out, are we? Because otherwise we'll
right. Who's going first, Blair? Which way are you doing it?
Yeah. So I've got Fudge, Steve, John.
All right.
If you want to try and drag it out a bit longer, there's a few players still in the squad today. What you give a debut to? So.
Okay. Right,
just a few.
2012.
Yeah, 2012.
I'm going to go with Danny Welbeck.
Danny Welbeck. Fucking Fudge, you gone already, mate.
Oh, what? I was going. Shit house.
Go again.
No, honestly,
it's not good content.
Since the turn of the millennium, I'm not giving a shit about England outside of a tournament. I must admit. Though it was because Steve mentioned it, and I thought, oh, that's a good one. I'll take that. No, go on, Steve. Go on. You can do it. You've got the knowledge.
Kyle Walker.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, that's a shit one, that Steve.
No.
Right, John. You've got one life here. You've got an extra life, and then we'll start again.
Name an England footballer who's playing currently in the squad.
Kyle Walker's like 34, Steve.
Well, we got a debut 10 years ago, sorry. Who's still currently in the squad.
Kyle Walker's not 34.
Is he, isn't he? He'd have already been in the squad by the time.
Kyle Walker's a great fucking Welbeck. Jesus. 32.
Oh yeah, that's well different.
I'm not going for current squad. I can't think of it. I'm going to go for Joe Hart.
No.
I was a year out.
Right, so okay, that's our lives out the way. Let's go round again. Let's play proper now. Again. That was just a practice.
It's not that fucking hard, lads. It's not that hard.
It is hard.
Oh!
Fuck it, one scored the other day. One scored.
I've got one.
Right, go Fudge. It's your go.
Oh.
Open line caller. 6 years ago. So I'm looking for a player who's probably about 27. Youngest. Yeah? Playing in
Yeah.
It can't be Harry Kane. No, it can't
Harry Kane, yes.
Is Harry Kane one of them?
Harry Kane's one of them. Right. Stephen.
How long ago?
One of them played for us on loan.
No. John Stones.
John Stones is correct. Well done.
Come on. Go on, John. Hit me.
I take it we all want 3 points versus Exo having England win on Saturday. Then is that what we're saying?
We'll go to that once we shit out on this quiz.
Jordan Henderson.
Jordan Henderson. I think he was already. Yeah, he already had one. Already had a cap, unfortunately. But good shout, that one, actually.
Well, we're all just as shit as each other, so we've had 2 correct answers out of 6 goes. Right, here we go.
Fudge and Steve.
Right, here we go. Hang on. Was he in charge when Ricky Lambert got his cap?
Ricky Lambert got his cap. Well done.
Come on. There was a lot of people getting random caps around that time. Do you remember when we had that German kit, the first night one?
Yeah. There's loads of randomers.
There's another one-hit wonder in there, isn't there?
Yeah. He's about. He was in his 30s when he got his debut.
What's his bloody name?
Not Chris Powell.
Nah, plays for Preston or some shit. Used to play for Preston at one point.
What was that? My mate Kev.
That's not it.
Is it my go?
Yeah.
I'm going for Raheem Sterling.
Raheem Sterling is on the list. Well done.
Right, Rajiv. If anybody's tried to type Raheem into WhatsApp, it comes up with Rajiv, so he gets called Rajiv on our group chats. Shit. Now.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah,
ropey
gypsy looking fellow. Can't remember his bloody name.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
Sturridge, Daniel Sturridge. That's not what I'm on about, but Daniel Sturridge.
No, he's already been.
Fuck's sake. Go on, Steve.
The person you think, but I don't think it is. I think it would be before him. I think you're talking about David Nugent.
I am talking about David Nugent.
Yeah,
he's
on the list. That was before.
Well, I'd have been wrong
right.
anyway.
So
I thought he was talking differently.
You trying not to give it away there, John?
I think people will be absolutely screaming.
People are going absolutely bloody mental watching this now.
People are going to be going mental, going, where's the Wednesday content?
You can tell we all just shit out after Andy Hinchcliffe and went tits to this. We're not watching England anymore, apart from in World Cup.
Henderson. was the goalkeeper before Pickford? Pickford.
Joe Hart, you've already said.
I've not said Joe Hart.
I think John said Joe Hart.
I said it.
There must have been a goalkeeper that were in and around between
There's
Joe Hart
two.
and Jordan Pickford.
There's three.
I've just unlocked about 17 players there.
Tom Heaton.
Tom Heaton's on the list.
Tom
Stevie's
Heaton.
won.
Nick Pope,
Fantastic.
he's in there, isn't he?
No, I'll tell you, I'll go through it now.
Yeah, go on, because you're just pissing people off now, aren't we?
Dele Alli.
Kevin Davies.
Dele Alli. Ross Barkley. Ryan Bertrand. Jack Butland. Callum Chambers. Tom Cleverley. Nathaniel Klein. Fabian Delph. Eric Dyer. John Flanagan. Fraser Foster. Danny Ings.
John Flanagan? I thought he was under Capello.
John Flanagan's just retired.
I'm sure John Flanagan, or maybe Martin Kelly, one of them got beat the wife in, allegedly.
Jesus.
Carl
Flanagan.
Jenkinson,
Allegedly.
Martin Kelly, Adam Lallana.
That might
Jake
need a
Livermore.
disclaimer, Fudge, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say. Allegedly.
Ryan Mason, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Leon Osmond was the one I was referring to. He was like in his 30s when he played for Everton.
Jesus Christ. So hang on, after halfway through that list there, Blair, no wonder we didn't bloody win anything.
I know. And people still call our team crap now. You look at the players we've got now compared to these.
Callum Chambers.
Yeah, there's Jay Rodriguez, Danny Rose, John Ruddy,
Yeah.
Luke Shaw, Ryan Shawcross, John Joe Shelby, Andros Townsend, Jamie Vardy, Wilfred Zaha, Stephen Colker, Rashford, and Danny Drinkwater.
I should have got bloody Rashford.
I told
Wow.
you, Rashford.
But what an absolute litany of shite you just listed there. There's only about 12% of those players are any good. That was frighteningly terrible. But it was a good quiz. I'll give you that one, mate. I'll give you that. So what was your question earlier on in the group chat, Blair? What did you ask?
Oh, like I said, I'd take 3 points over Exeter, and England gets stuffed 5-0 now.
3 points over Exeter.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, you see. Because this is where it's interesting. Because like I said to you, I don't really give a shit about England anymore, I must admit.
Evidently.
I was like, I'm out. It's just a constant revolving door of absolute bloody nonsense, and Gareth Southgate bores me to death. But I think the way he plays football is good for what we've got, and the way he's set himself up as a social media person and a media personality is actually very commendable. And the way he's managed to turn himself around in the public since Euro 96. However, there's no way I would say I'd rather get beat by the French than take 3 points off Exeter, knowing there's half the season to still play, and then there's only 3 games left in a tournament. Come on, Steve, back me up.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. On the on the surface, you go straight away. You go Wednesday. Yeah, and it would take 3 points. I'd take 3 points over the fallout and the grief we get on and see on Twitter. Over, do you know what I mean?
I tell you what, though, if it was a choice between winning the World Cup and Sheffield Wednesday winning the Premier League, or even winning the Championship, that'd be a longer conversation.
I'd take Wednesday getting out of this league in the playoffs on penalties against, looking at the league, Wickham, for example, over England winning World Cup. That sort of shit. And I think the question that Blair has posed is
because there's 2 games on Saturday.
It's evolved because we've all grown up loving football and wanting to watch a team, our country, our nation, the 30 years of hurt that has become 40, 50. Christ, we're on 60 years of hurt near enough now, aren't we? We all want to be part of that sort of generation that sees England win the cup, win the World Cup, or even the Euros to a lesser extent. However, the game has changed now so significantly. When we were kids, a little tangent because we've got a bit of time. When we were kids, we'd sit around and we'd go, right, FA Cup final day. It's the last game of the season. We're going to watch Grandstand. We're going to get there. Des Lynam's in. We've got whatever reporter that's going into the hotels in the morning. We're going to be round. We're going to be on the buses. We're going to be there. We're going to be on Wembley Way, blah, 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 blah. Nobody gives a fuck about the FA Cup anymore.
No,
the reason we don't is because it's on a Saturday afternoon, 2 weeks before either the Champions League or the end of the Premiership, whatever it may be. Because, Sky TV, all these people that are ploughing money into the game have bastardized it to the point where it don't matter. And you can look at the fallout. The bigger picture is the World Cup's being held in Qatar for whatever reason in November, which is another podcast in itself. It's not pointless, but it just doesn't mean anything like it meant before.
Hang on, Steve. Hang on. I'm going to take umbrage.
Go for it. I'll fall out with them.
Here is a big ball of bad things. Right. We're going to put a pin in it. Here is terrible human rights records, people being up for their sexual preferences and being arrested for it, the bungs, the money, the sponsorship, the fact it's in the middle of season, the fact that it's just an absolute load of waste. If I could just put a pin in that just for 5 seconds, because they're not my knitting to talk about. It's been a good fucking tournament so far.
Yeah, it's been fucking brilliant.
I'm like, this is a good tournament, and I kind of feel guilty liking it. You know what I mean? I'm like,
when there was no football yesterday, I was like, what? There's no football?
Yeah. I was like, look, there's a lot happening here. There's a lot going on. There's a lot I need to unpick, and I need to educate myself on. Don't get me wrong, but in terms of football in its purest form, that's Saudi Arabia beating Argentina.
You're absolutely right, and the standard and the quality of the stuff that we've seen, and I think what's made it good is the fact that nobody expected Morocco to knock Spain out. Nobody's expected these teams to lose and so forth. But I can't get away from the fact that the game that we love and we do this for has changed to the extent that as we sit here recording now, in the background, I'm watching a TV advert with Raheem Sterling with no clothes on, advertising a razor. Why? What are we even doing?
John,
it's not about it.
John, Stevie's been watching too much of that FIFA documentary on Netflix. What are you going to say?
Yeah, I think you'll make some valid there, and technically, this is a World Cup that should suit England, shouldn't it? Really, because of the being in sort of the middle of the season. In the past, they've always said that England have suffered at World Cups because we play more games than other European nations. Our league's typically longer, and it drags on. We don't have a winter break, etc. And so, in many ways, it should suit England, it being in the middle of the season. And we've had some shocks, and we've also had a lot of injuries as well. France have had a lot of injuries, even though they're still favourites to beat us and stuff. But and by the way, Spain are boring and deserve to go out, because I don't care about tiki taka. It's boring. I don't want to see 78 passes that go like 1 yard. You know what I mean? It's just like, they deserve to get knocked out. But yeah, I think when, as much as the politics behind it are, you can't get help that once it starts, you get drawn in as an England fan. You get drawn in, especially if they're doing well and scoring a lot of goals. And we'll all be, if we beat France on Saturday,
it's coming home. I'm knocking buses over. I'm jumping in sea. That's what's happening.
It'll be mental.
You're gonna throw pints in the air.
It'll be absolutely mental. There'll be more beer spilled than stag.
I hate the forced celebration.
Of the sky.
I'm not showing it in my bar.
No, but it will.
Not showing it. We've got too many Christmas bookings. We've got Gandalf coming in.
When we scored against Iran in the first game, which is more or less like scoring the FA Cup third round, it means nothing. You're not going to win it. And the way people were celebrating like we've won the thing, it's like, it's just so pathetic. It's just so forced, isn't it? Like, England scored against Iran. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was like, off your pop, lads. Next up. Like, you know what I mean? Yes, we won 6-2. I know we conceded 2, if I'm honest. That penalty pissed me off. Right, listen, before we start talking about it, let's get back to Sheffield Wednesday. Who's coming up next? What we got next? Exeter.
Gently.
Steve, what you
saying? Well, do you know what? They were on the TV the other week, weren't they, against Plymouth? And I know it was a derby game. But they were bloody good.
They were good,
they
weren't
they? Were really good. And I've seen a couple of bits where people are thinking it's going to be a procession on Saturday and we're expected to win. I don't think it's going to be comfortable at all. They play good football. And I think if we're not at it, and it's one of those where it's one of those pokey little grounds in the arse end of England where we're going to be travelling if we, for whatever time. I think
it takes forever to get there.
Ash has said that he's going to have to leave at 7 a.m. to get there, auntie. Can you imagine doing that?
Getting called off halfway down.
Well,
Yeah.
the weirdest thing is, it used to take me 4 hours to get there from Southampton as well. Like, you know what I mean? It's so far away from everything. Same with bloody
It's the middle of nowhere. So
Torquay.
you've got the journey to sort of factor in, but I don't think it's going to be the walkover that everybody expects it to be. They're comfortably sat middle table. If I remember rightly, I've not looked at the league tonight before we've come on, but I think they've won as many as they've lost, and they draw a fair few as well. So I don't know what to expect. If they turn up like they did against Plymouth, it's not going to be a walkover. Absolutely not.
I'm still going to go 3-0 though.
Of course you are.
I agree with everything you've said, but I still want to win 3-0. What about it?
Windass is back apparently, so that's a huge.
Well, they are then 3-0 then, Steve. What are you saying?
Windass and Gregory have trained this week, haven't they?
Yeah.
Today.
So go on. Hit me up with your numbers. What you saying?
Me, sorry.
Yeah,
Lost
fucking
it.
hell. That was like a 4-minute
mate,
answer.
Dude, you fucking froze. 2-1 win.
2-1. Blair.
Yeah. Well, 3-0 because it's League One's coming home, not the World Cup.
League One's coming home. There's the answer. That's what we'll call it tonight, lads. League One coming home. All right, John, what about you?
But I think it'll be a tight game. But many of the factors that we mentioned before, tight ground. That's if it goes ahead. The weather's forecast is still pretty bad, isn't it? So I don't know. I hope it goes ahead because it's rearranged. It'll be a stupid Tuesday.
Listen, if it's
Tuesday,
called off,
Wednesday night
come on, England.
Listen, if it's called off and Ash is set off at 7 o'clock in the morning, it gets called off at 12 o'clock. I will shit myself laughing.
Yeah, but what happens when he comes and knocks on your door?
Yeah, he will. He'll come down my house, won't he? He'll be down. I'm in
I'll go
South.
for 1-0 Wednesday. Tight game,
1-0 Wednesday from John there. All right, then. So, listen, we're going to do a shorter one this week because, one, it was a 0-0 draw and there's shit all to talk about. And two, we've got this new thing that I've got to play with and there's new things happening. And that's why we've had a bit of a sound issue and stuff like that. Does anybody have any other business before I wrap this up, folks? No, that's it. It's been a slow week. We've all been on the World Cup hype this week. Thanks a lot for joining us and thanks for finding time to listen to us. We've got a new format right now, so we're just feeling this out. So like I say, apologies about any kind of audio issues and video issues you might have encountered this evening. But in the meantime, it is coming home and up the Wednesday. See you later.
The Wednesday week is sponsored by Michael Constantine Wealth Management. We bet you can't find a financial advisor closer to Hillsborough Stadium.